Well, listen, I didn't plan on the content that we're going to discuss today. I knew there was going to be, obviously, roster announcements coming in because the registration for all these tournaments coming up, like the Esports World Cup and the Blast Tour and this type of thing. So I was like, all right, well, we should get some big announcements coming in for some big teams. And listen, I know you will be able to pull up footage of me saying, fuck G2, fuck all their players, fuck all their fans, fuck all their management. You will be able to find a clip of me saying that somewhere on the internet. But no, I love G2. I want to make that abundantly clear. Where would I be without G2? Right? Where would I be? Think about it. Be washed up, wouldn't exist, just wouldn't have a job, be just sat, I couldn't keep mining Stewie 2K content forever, So thank God for G2, because what they've done today is they've just thrown in the ultimate curveball with the signing. One nobody saw coming whatsoever, and that is that they have signed Snax from Gamer Legion to be their in-game leader. All the talk of Perfecto. No, not Perfecto. Not what you needed. Hey, guys, we need an anchor. No Nico IGL, and instead we're bringing in a guy who's only an IGL because he moved to IGL to extend his own ailing career. Okay, well, so, let's take a look at it. Here it is. G2 unveil Snax signing. Now, let's also be real here. You didn't unveil it so much as kind of like mumble it, like, oh yeah, we've signed Snax. It wasn't like, ta-da! When I saw this, I thought it was like a troll, like a bit of fun, like G2 announcement thing that they do. But no, this is a real. Snax has moved on from Gamer Legion and will now be the in-game leader for G2. I just don't even know, like, on the surface of it, this move, I just don't even know how to kind of react to this. It's so bizarre. So first of all, let's just talk a little bit about Snax as an IGL. I don't think he's necessarily acquitted himself in glory as an IGL. In fact, I believe it was Maui that said, if you look at the teams that had the disparity between good CT sides and shit T-sides, the worst two teams were Team Liquid and Gamer Legion. So immediately here, you go, oh, well, that's not great. Because where your IGL will do most of the work is in constructing T-side tactics. Next up, I would say, having watched Gamer Legion, with a few tournaments, obviously, and watching them at the major, I wasn't really sold on kind of what they were doing. It was clear that as the project started to break apart, there was talk about Snax maybe leaving, maybe going to Ents, something like that. That was a big rumor that, Glaive would go and Snax would go and it would make an all-Polish lineup over there. That move would have been fine for me, by the way. I wouldn't have had an issue with that. I would have gone, yeah, all right, fair enough. But for Snax to go from being the in-game leader at a not great Gamer Legion team, having that mantle essentially, you can argue thrust upon him because obviously they lost players. I would argue he merely adopted the mantle of being IGL to extend his career because, Snax's numbers, his production wasn't great. He's 30, he's getting to that age now where it's like you have to reinvent yourself to justify being on a team if you cannot frag out. Particularly at the moment where every team has like some insane cracked young phenom, it feels. And so, yeah, I would have no issue with him at Ents. Ents, I think, are one of the best run teams in Europe. And best run orgs, rather. And I feel that they did a miracle to even be at the major in the first place, having constructed a team with 12 hours before the registration deadline. Snax probably could have gone there, elevated them a little bit, would have been fine. But this was the same problem I had with Hooksy. Hooksy, having achieved nothing except a top 8 with Copenhagen Flames at Antwerp, right? He got, like, you can't go to G2. Like, are you or are you not meant to be one of the biggest orgs in the world with one of the best CS teams? And so when Hooksy was dropped, I just assumed they're just going to get a player to fit the roles. We'll talk about roles in a moment. I'll bring up some tweets from some of the pundits around this. But there's nothing on Snax's resume to justify him being the in-game leader for G2. That's got to be said right out the gate. Like, there just isn't. He hasn't achieved anything as an IGL. It might be a downgrade, tactically. Maui Snake has unironically made that argument on Twitter. But as we've seen with the Stewie 2K anomaly of them winning IEM Dallas, sometimes someone just has to be not Hooksy to win. And Snax, as you may notice, is not Hooksy. And if he can successfully remain not Hooksy, maybe G2 can go and win tournaments like they did in Dallas without Hooksy. There's no reason why that isn't the case. I'll also add, after that disastrous Stewie interview, where he was like saying, yeah, you know, we could see that like people weren't necessarily listening to Taz, which I thought was disgraceful, and I'm not changing my opinion on that. There's no need for you to come in as a substitute, and then as you leave, you undermine the coach and the team that you stood in for, then LARP as if you're standing up for them by getting into a meaningless argument with a journalist because you can't read properly. Seems silly to me, but what do I know? You know, I'm just a boomer probably. So anyway, if Snax and Taz, I never heard about any beef between them, even in a post-Mercedes landscape. It could be that, you know, this is something where Taz now has a little avatar in the team to get his ideas and his implementation in. And Snax obviously has that simpatico with him. But, I mean, I don't necessarily buy that narrative because, you know, the narrative that we used to talk about on By the Numbers was after Taz got that Mercedes, I mean, even prior to the Mercedes, you had Snax and Bialy on one side, and they were going, we're the new school that are carrying these boomers, and we deserve more respect, but we don't get it. And then on the other side, you had obviously Neo, Taz, and kind of Pasha, although I would argue Taz and Pasha, they didn't get along towards the end. And they were kind of like the ones that got all the reverence and all the respect, even though for a long period of time, with the new look Virtus Plow, it was Snax and Bialy doing all the heavy lifting as players. So I don't know about that, but maybe they've squashed any beef if there was any beef. And maybe this is like a Taz pick. A lot of people are saying this is another Nepo hire, and it's like indicative of where G2 is as an org. I don't know. I don't know how much input Taz has had on this move, but I'll just say, before we read the report and look at some of the reactions, do you know what this reeks of, guys? You know what it reeks of? It's desperation. It's a classic. We've got a deadline to hit. We need to field a team at the Esports World Cup. It's essential we do it. And they've just fucking gone and got an IGL. It's like, it really sort of lacks ambition. If you want to spend money, you go get Shuhei. Like, job done. You've got yourself a long-term IGL who's highly coveted. Tons of upside there. If you want to go credible, like, you go and get Glaive. Now, I don't know if they thought about Glaive and looked over it, but it's like, I can't see what the barrier to Glaive would be. It seems crazy to me. That you would do this and over that option. Like, if I'm gonna go get a player that maybe can't frag out, but we don't need fragging power because we're G2. We got Munacy, we got Nico, we got Hunter and Malbs now, right? So the last thing you need is firepower. You go and get Glaive, and then you just implement a really good playbook, tactical system, and that's that. Job done, right? But no, that doesn't seem to have been a possibility. And here we are with this. So just to read you the report, G2 have unveiled the signing of Snax to their Counter-Strike roster. The Polish veteran takes over in-game leadership in the squad from Hooksy, who was benched from the team on Monday. The new addition is part of a larger overhaul of the G2 team and comes on the coattails of former M80 star Malbs MD, replacing Nexa on the roster. The two arrivals will make roles inside the new roster difficult to solve. Snax could be seen as a one-to-one replacement for Hooksy in many ways, but he has been used to more rotator roles as CT and was much less of a pure entry on T-side compared to the man he's replacing, while Malb's positions from his former team clash with either Hunter or Nico on most maps. Now, I will address this, and this is going to be the hot take of this segment, right? And not a lot of people are going to come aboard for this, so it's fine. But I hate this trend the last few years where everyone is so fixated on roles and talks about roles in teams as if they are immutable qualities that are totally inflexible. And we've seen the rise of the role cells. Everyone on Reddit goes, oh, this team can't work because they've all got different roles. I'm from a time in CS when, like, actually roles were kind of like almost like a secondary concern. It's like we get the players we think can work. We all vibe well. We're all aligned with a dynamic. We've got a good tactical system. And realistically, we will learn, we will adapt, and we will just work with what we have because the foundations are more important than this window dressing of roles. Now, I think a reason why roles sort of became this weird trend in CS is CS has always had a bit of a inferiority complex. I know you're going to go, what do you mean, Richard? Like, everyone says CS is the best esport. All the fans say CS is the best esport. Yeah, but in terms of what comes next, when you go Counter-Strike is the best esport, the next line in that statement is, it's so simple to understand but difficult to master. And all the CS players start going, well, I mean, I wouldn't say the game was simple. It's unbelievably complicated in some ways. Please don't say my game is simple. Meanwhile, obviously, you've got all the StarCraft guys and all the MOBA guys, and they're all, having a sort of deal with a much more, cerebral game. And so I think that ultimately we've become a little bit desperate to try and make it look like there's all this hidden complexity on the esports side, and we talk about roles as if they're immutable, like in a MOBA. You've got to have a support, you've got to have, a carry, you've got to have, an offlaner or whatever it is, right? And it's like, yeah, I just don't necessarily. I think good players can just adapt. Now, not always, because sometimes you can find a role just demands too much of your skill set, and there's no getting there. Like Nexa, right? We've already seen it on G2. But, I mean, we're surely dealing with a better caliber of player here. And Malbs is, for, want of a better word, he's the new guy. He's the new kid on the block. And he's the one that now is going to have to probably accept he's not going to get the roles he wants. He might on some maps, and he probably won't on others, but you're not taking any roles off Nico if you're Malbs, and you're not taking any roles off Hunter, really, realistically, not particularly in this team as well, where Nico is so influential, and Hunter is obviously, he's got his own problems, hasn't really shown up in CS2. So, on the one hand, I get it. This was like a silly pickup if we're to believe roles are like these crucially important components of teams. But I think G2 are going to be okay. And I think Malbs is going to be okay. And I think Snax as a one-for-one replacement for Hooksy is an upgrade. It's just below where G2 should be aiming for. And that's kind of how I feel, about it in a broader concept. So yeah, a lot of talk about roles. I don't know. I feel it's just a trend I don't like in CS overall. Like, yes, some people will be better on some maps in some positions than other players because they're speciality players that have held that position, but whatever. I don't think it's like the be-all and end-all. So anyway, we get into some of the Punditry. Not a lot of options out there for G2 in terms of IGLs. Don't know enough about Snax or the dynamic in Game of Legion to say how he fits in terms of calling, but G2 should have learned in Dallas that playing more default and giving players time and space to make moves works best for them. Indeed, when they were doing less, they were actually doing more. The positions roles look like a bit of a mess. I just don't want to see Malbs having to concede all of his spots and shoved into Nex's role. It should be divided between Snax, Hunter, and him, with Snax sacrificing the most, then Hunter. And yeah, I agree with that part. I think the IGL should always be the one to make way. Because your game's always going to suffer anyway because you've got a call. On paper, they've upgraded in terms of firepower on both of their players, but the big question is, can all the pieces fit together to make a functional team? It will depend on how good at adjusting are the players and how well can Snax and Taz set them up as the IGL and coach. And yeah, I mean, it's a tall order, but I'm confident. I think Taz has been really unfairly maligned in all of this. I think Taz has been, a lot of people were saying, oh, they're going to kick Taz as well. And I'm like, he's only just got the job and he's had to deal with the Hooksy issue. Got to a semi-final of a major. Should have been in a final realistically. But they have steadily improved under Taz's tenure. And, no one's calling out Neo for FaZe have had a couple of whiffs, right, at some tournaments lately. No one's calling out Neo. You've got to let these guys learn the trade, learn the craft. And I feel like, it's cool to see Taz, Neo, and Kuban all learning how to be coaches and having that that continuity of a career. And so, no, I think Taz has been really unfairly maligned in all of this. And, this will be the measure. This will be the test. You've got a new team. I think it's a better team. And now you have to go out and deliver with that better team. G2, between now and the next player break, have to win a big trophy. That's that. It has to happen. It should have already happened. But if they don't, then we can start talking about getting rid of a coach or making more drastic cuts. But now is the time. And listen, I'll back them to do it. I think winning Dallas, by the way, it's interesting, isn't it? Everyone gave Stewie the credit. No one gave Taz any credit. Think about what it must be if you're a coach and your IGL is out and you get a replacement player who hasn't played competitive CS for 2 years, and when they win, everyone goes, yes, we did it. Or even the more enlightened takes are, oh, yeah, well, Hooksy was helping them prepare every night. He was calling in, saying, oh, yeah, it's great here. I've just had some, canapes. But anyway, have you thought about, just trading better than that? And they gave him the credit. Taz got zero credit. He's just won a tournament with a stand-in. Does that mean nothing for coaches? People have a real fucking mental block for Taz as a coach. I think it's because he was such a larger-than-life player and very outspoken. I just think people aren't going to give him the respect as a coach, whereas Neo, who was always, had this quiet aura around him, very respectful, and obviously was in the GOAT argument from 1.6 and early CS, I think people are more, they'll give him a million passes that Taz won't get. Well, I don't think that's necessarily fair. But that being said, it is a necessity now that with this lineup, G2 win a tournament, a big tournament. And what do I mean by a big tournament? I see a first-time chatter there. Planton Yoya. Is a big tournament win next year Cologne or the major? Cologne would count. Look, the Esports World Cup would count. I'd count that as a big one. The format's garbage, but, big teams are there. So, yeah. But, I mean, and also the major, yeah, why not? Why couldn't, right? Think about the major we just had in Copenhagen and which team won it and what they've done since. Why couldn't G2 power up and win a major? And, by the way, that would cement Munacy as the number one player in 2024. You want G2 to do well, I think, if you care about that kid's career, and I do. I think I very rarely, I put it this way. As I said on the episode of Snake and Banter, when I look at Munacy, I see all of the talent of like Simple when he was coming through, and people like me and Duncan were going, he's going to be the best player in the world, but without any of the personality problems, right? So that's great. That's exactly what you want. So yeah, I want Munacy to definitely get a major, and obviously I want Nico to get one as well. I just think it would be cruel and unfair. I've never recovered from Guardian never winning one. I'll go into the Maui Snake analysis as well, because he had some good tweets as his pro, and he's raising his Twitter game. He learned from the best. So this was the first one. I'd be interested to know what metric he used for this. The two teams in 2024 were the worst T-sides in relation to their CT, a Team Liquid and Gamer Legion. That's what I said earlier. And obviously he's alluding there to, oh, fucking, this is a bad pickup for G2. Then he said this. The team that got Nexa won today, and the team that dropped him lost. Well, obviously, that's talking about Nexa has now gone to Bleed and joined Kasad, and we'll talk about that in a moment and what that means. But that's pretty fucking wild, in my opinion. That is a wild statement, but okay. Then he followed it up with this. Fans always want me to blame Nico. I have in particular games and maps, by the way, but now he's playing with a Tier 1 rookie and the IGL, who arguably got the least out of his pieces for the past 6 months. Now, I'll break this statement down. Yeah, I think it's, you could argue, it's harder, right, for Nico to carry this iteration of the team. That's one school of thought. I also think it's really stupid when fans blame Nico. I've never been one of those guys. I think the whole Choco, Nico is the problem. I've hated that. I've called that out repeatedly. It's like Hooksy plays 0.8, right? Calls like some really insipid shit T-sides, and they throw away a lead, and they lose a series, and then people go, "What, should Hooksy be kicked?" And then everyone goes, "No. Well, why does Nico get to kick another IGL?" And that sentiment, that like stupid belief, that stupid thought process, basically kept Hooksy in a job way beyond the point he should have been in a job. And it was the same all the time. Why would Nico do this? Like every time they lost, and it was, the blame should have been clearly attributed to the IGL, you know, or Nexa. Why would Nico do this? Nico's the problem. Nico's the problem because Nico wanted to play with Nexa. Nexa is Nico's friend. It's like, already kicked him once. So, yeah, crazy that people are so down on Nico. But I don't agree that it's harder with this team. Nexa was terrible. There is no getting away from it. Like, I don't care, you know, send your fucking girlfriend or whatever out on social media to say, oh, he's playing in the most despicable roles. Yeah. I'm an old man. I heard all that with Dead Fox. I heard that with Fox. When people were going, oh, he's a great teammate. He would run to the other side of a map to drop a Glock for me. Wicked. Can he fucking kill anyone on the server? No? All right, great. You know, it's pathetic to, like, make these arguments. He's doing all these, like, he's doing the dirty work. He's not doing it well, though. So it doesn't matter, you know? Like, if your job is to shovel shit into the back of a van and you get 50% of the shit outside of the van by the end, you're doing the dirty work, but you're not doing it competently. So who gives a fuck? There's still shit everywhere, right? So, you know, a nonsense argument. But anyway, like, Nexa was terrible. And I've got no doubt in my mind that even if they gave Malbs positions that he'd never played before in his career, Malbs has the competency and the desire and the skill ceiling to be able to play those roles well. Well enough. Better than Nexa. That's how I feel. Right? Just having watched what Nexa was in G2 and watching Malbs prior to G2. The other part about this is and now he's playing with an IGL who arguably got the least out of his pieces for the past 6 months. Sorry, Alex, you're wrong, because the IGL who got the fucking least out of his pieces was fucking Hooksy. It was obviously Hooksy. This is ridiculous. This is like when people are like saying, you know, oh, Fallen is a pretty overrated player. Maybe the most overrated player of all time. we exist in a timeline where people talk about Shroud like he is a god. So no, right? Hooksy was the worst IGL. Like, he has the number one player in CS2 right now, the MVP of CS2, let's say, because I don't want to have an argument with Donk fans. You can go either way on it. It's fine. It's a great time to be a CS2 fan. He's got Nico, one of the greatest players of all time. He's got Hunter. They brought in Nexa to sort of do like all the bitch work, and he didn't win a single fucking trophy. Not even close, and flopped at the major. It was a layup. It was a layup to go to the finals. God himself wanted them in the final. It's like, right, we'll just turn James PC off. Right, yeah, okay. Oh, Mouse are looking a bit sturdy here. Let's get some nutters to run up on stage. Okay, now Mouse are crying. Go on. That is how much of a drag factor Hooksy was. God was like, I will manipulate time and space to give G2 their major. And Hooksy looked up at God and said, no. That's fucking insane. I'm sorry, God, but I defy your wishes. It's like Paradise Lost. What the fuck is going on? So no, that is a ridiculous way to frame Snax. I mean, who had any great expectation for Gamer Legion? When I say gamer, you say Legion. Gamer. Who had any expectation for them? Not me. So no, I don't fuck with this opinion, but. Yeah, that's why I love Alex in the first place. Cause, and then he tweeted this, and this is like, this is a brave opinion to express. Like, maybe, as I said, maybe you can make an argument tactically he was a better IGL. I don't know on that one, honestly. Probably-ish. Not by a million miles, though. But as a player, I mean, the numbers... Because everyone says I'm a stat cell. All he does is look at stats. All he does is look. He doesn't even watch the games. You can see they're all better numbers than Hooksy. But then when you look at the matches, it's kind of like, oh, look at the teams that you're playing. And then, when you do play not even the good teams, just the decent teams, there's a drop off. But I mean, do I believe Hooksy could, like, pop off against, like, gaming gladiators? No. No, he couldn't pop off against Tier 2 either. So I don't know on that. Anyway, we can go back to the Punditry. He also did this. He's had a Thorin day on Twitter, hasn't he? He just won't stop tweeting. Multiple cases of Nepo babies in CS2 esports in 2024. I know this obviously has to be bait. He doesn't really mean it. He's just busting out the Nepo babies. And then there was another one. I feel worse for Malbs, who is now thrown in the deep end immediately with an unproven IGL at the helm. And Munacy, who may lose his HLTV number 2 status this year due to the team's shortcomings. Now, as I said, I reckon Munacy's going to get to 1. We already talked about that. You can go watch the video we did where Maui came on the stream and we talked about his top 21 players so far. But, yeah, I think it's too early to be like this. Because you can argue Snax is an unproven IGL. Fair enough. But what did Hooksy prove? Is the other question. To use the Mourinho quote, he was a specialist in failure, wasn't he? So you roll the dice. Does this team even need an IGL? They didn't have one in Dallas and they won the tournament. So, I mean, I'll take an unproven IGL over an IGL that has proven themselves to be dog shit. That's kind of where I'm at. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I get it, though. Maui is the perma G2, G2 hatred train. So that's fair enough. By the way, we haven't even looked at the announcement video.
Yo!
No siema dziku, co tam, kooperat?
Can you say G2 CS?
G2CS.
Was it a yes?
So what I like about this is right. So what I like about this announcement is you can sort of kind of tell how last minute it was because they're not even in the same room. And they're not in the same room, and they've done it on their phones. Like so, and it's like they're trying to pass that off as if that's the bit, but it isn't the bit, is it? They've literally gone fuck, staring into the abyss of the fucking registration. No nightmare. What are we gonna do? Let's work in a reference. Can you eat this apple, Snax? Because it's a big apple, and you're very hungry. So yeah, I mean. Whatever. It's like I say, it feels like a last minute appointment and one that is going to run till the end of the year and then get reviewed. But whatever, man. I mean, like again, Hooksy had to go. Like I can be at peace with that. I can always be at peace with that. You can see here, Moses. It's been 4 hours since G2 announced the signing, and I haven't seen a single person accuse Nico of nepotism on this one. We're in a new era of Counter-Strike. I don't know who Maui was accusing of nepotism in that one, but is it Taz? Is it Taz? Is the nepotist now? Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Also, you gotta pour one out for Launders. He tried to will it into existence, but he just hasn't he hasn't mastered the power of dickhead magic yet. You can see he's like, does this mean it's not Perfecto? That was a rumor. Now, Launders probably started the rumors. But he really wanted it. He wanted it so bad. And it's like, listen, not everyone can wield dickhead magic. I'll tell you what, Mohan, next time I see you, and I'm sorry I didn't come and see you in London, but I was getting swamped with threats and crazies. I will see you soon. We will do it. We will get into how to manifest through the power of dickhead magic. But if I teach you the power, you must use it sparingly, as I do. I only use it in emergencies. But no. And look, going back to the role thing, if you are a role cell and you believe roles are like crazy important, Perfecto would have been a better fit for sure. And honestly, it is kind of weird that Perfecto, like, there's just some players that are like out there that it's kind of weird that they don't have teams. I mean, look, I'll obviously factor in the unspoken, but he's a Russian. And all of the issues that come with that right now in terms of getting visas, in terms of who can I pay, you know, like how does it work? It's tough. And it was all I would argue it was always unlikely, even though like there were people I respect going, oh, it's gonna be Perfecto for sure. And is it? I don't know. So yeah, is it Muncie Russian? Yes, but see if you can figure out. Fuck me, people are dumb. Can you figure out an important detail? Maybe again we can look at like linear time, right? Just a thought. Right. So anyway, yeah, Perfecto was always going to be difficult, I would say. But you know, Launders is just sad. He hasn't offered an opinion. He did retweet this. This is how badly he wanted it. He retweeted one of those garbage accounts. And it was like, Chopper, Perfecto is an ideal player. I think he will ideally fit G2. And he just replied to the tweet, manifesting. No, it works, but you can't. All Twitter can manifest is accounts that tell you their pussy is in their bio. So you can't manifest through Twitter, unfortunately. You have to use dickhead magic. That's the key. I'll teach you. I will teach you. I need a Padawan, so we'll get there. I saw this. Very unfortunate. So Yumi TV tweeted out this. It was that sad video we watched the other day of Hooksy, and he just replied with Snax, right? Which, by the way, I didn't see anybody apart from this guy suggest Snax, actually. I mean, fair play. And it's a hell of a pull. Like, good job. But then there's an account called Craftmeister. He posts memes. He probably runs one of those anonymous clout goblin Twitter accounts as well. But you probably seen him and not realized. If they sign Snax, I will eat my own shit on stream and donate $1 per viewer to charity. Now, there's lots in this one. So, okay, first, what a crazy thing to proffer as a forfeit. Could have been anything. Could have been, oh, I'll sit in a bath of beans. And I'm not saying he's a coprophage, right? I'm not saying that. But it does have that kind of energy. It does have that kind of energy, doesn't it? Like, oh, it'd be awful if, imagine if we were all to, like, eat our shit in that. Oh, fucking hell, I'd hate that. I'd fucking hate to have to eat shit. Oh, fuck, no, that'd be terrible. You ever tried it? No, me neither. No, never done that. Never done that. So, the question is now, will Craftmeister actually do it? He is seething. He's actually seething. He posted this, obviously. The Homelander meme. Right? With the scariest looking Snax I've ever seen. But when you've been an irrelevant bum for 6 years, but still get signed to the team with Munacy and Nico. And I've just told him, less tweeting, more eating. Which are just rules to live by. They're just good rules. I adopted that advice somewhere in 2018 and turned into a fat bastard. So anyway, going back to what we're talking about, which is the overall quality of the move. It's very hard for me to believe that this was the first choice for G2. It really is. I don't know why it wouldn't have been Glaive or why you wouldn't explore buying Shuhei. I have no idea if he would leave or if Mouse would sell, but I'm pretty sure for enough money. I mean, it feels inevitable that, say, in the next 18 months, Shuhei is going to move to a bigger org than Mouse. If Mouse don't start consistently winning trophies, I think, he's going to get that kind of opportunity, replace like Carrigan at FaZe or something like that. But this feels like, let's see what we can do with just enough for the next 6 months. And that's basically where we're at. Like this signing really has until December to bear fruit. And as I've said, looking at the tournaments that are coming up on the calendar, it's like what have we got? So we've got the Esports World Cup in July. We've got Cologne in August. Pro League in September. IEM Rio in 24. And then also in October. And then, the Shanghai Major in November. They have to win one of those. They have to win one of them. If they don't, they got to blow up the team again. Listen, I need a W, right? I need one of Richie's famous bold W's. Team Liquid really let me down, right? Bet Boom really let me down. Okay, so I'm 0-2 on the bold predictions front. Liquid, I'm never going to recover from. It's like a mortal wound. I'm like that fucking rotting leper cunt from House of the Dragon. So I'm going to say it. They're going to win one of the big trophies. G2 are going to win one of the big trophies. There it is. They're going to get one of those ones that I just read off. And if they don't, it is a failure.